3. Welcome, everybody. As you know, we had the OJ White Blanco draft here. It is opening week for football and fantasy lovers here on ATM Bros. Uh, we're in this kind of darkness background because we're not in football really yet, okay, till Thursday. But give us a little bit of the matchups, and starting with your matchup coming up here.
All right, so I'm playing Fields of Dreams, Max. The team's looking like starting positions we got set. We can start with his. So he's got Justin Fields at quarterback versus my quarterback. We got Joe Burrow. So I figure we can analyze, step by step, and then at the end of the analysis, we can who we think is going to win. So I don't know. I'll start. I think it's a close matchup because Fields has some high upside, but Burrow's got he's a lot more guaranteed points. So with the matchups, Fields playing Green Bay, Burrow playing Cleveland, Burrow coming off that injury, I think Fields is going to beat him.
I do too. I feel like Fields with the running ability, with having DJ Moore as a little bit more weaponry there, and Green Bay being a lackluster kind of defense coming into this year, stat wise. I feel like he's going to have a big game in week one. Uh, Claypool, I think, gets off that game. Surprise, surprise. But um, I I think he gets off, and I think Joe is going to be better throughout the year for you. But I think they're going to kind of ease him back, especially with arch rival in Cleveland having a great kind of front seven. You're not going to kind of rush them into it right away. You're going to try working out the schemes, the packages, all that stuff with the great weapons that he has. But I think Fields, with the running ability, is going to outlast Joe Burrow there.
So I'll scan through the rest of his team, and then I'll scan through mine, and we can talk about key players now. So then the rest of his team goes Derrick Henry. Then he's got Joe Mixon. Then receiver one, he's got Stephon Diggs. And then receiver two is DK. Tight end, he's got Dallas Goddard. His flex is Brandon Ayuk this week. And Bills defense and Carlson for the kicker from Vegas. The rest of my team, I've got James Cook, Buffalo Bills, Rashad White, RB2, and then got Jamar Chase as my receiver one, Amon-Ra St. Brown as receiver two, and Olave as my flex with TJ Hockenson at tight end, Steelers defense, and Tyler Bass from Buffalo as my kicker. So real quick, one guy I want to point out from his team, Derrick Henry, I think, versus the Saints defense. It's gonna be a scary matchup for Derrick Henry because I think the Saints defense is slept on. Um, I know you think of the Saints and you think they're not that good, but I think this year is going to be a different year for them. Their defense looked pretty good at the end of the year last year. Derrick Henry started off really slow last year with like 2 6-point games. So I don't know how I'm feeling about Derrick Henry this year or this matchup. So I think he's going to be a hit or miss for Max. And if he's a hit, that might give him the edge for the week and give him the win. If he's a miss, that's going to hurt him big time because not a lot of places to make up for a Derrick Henry point loss.
Right. This week, I feel like Derrick Henry's floor is 15, and his ceiling's in the 30s. And
Okay.
this is why, because the secondary of the Saints, outstanding. But when Tennessee had without a doubt, a clear number one at wide receiver, Derrick Henry 8. Last year, they didn't have, excuse my language, they didn't have shit on that wide receiver core. Okay. So you have Hopkins coming in. Okay. That's a clear number one. wherever he goes, just because he's a fluent outrunner, kind of like what Larry Fitzgerald was. So if Tannehill's healthy back there, that's a big if. Okay, I feel like Derrick Henry is going to eat. He's one of the guys. If you don't stack that box up, oh boy, you're going to be in some hurt. Okay. If that offensive line holds up. Now, that's the key. You got to look at the Tennessee Titans offensive line. Are they going to hold up against the Saints? Really good front seven. So if that's the matchup, that kind of will win you the week or lose you the week there, Sammy, because you got a lot of potential with James Cook on. So your running back's got potential. Okay.
Yeah. So going to my running back, because obviously Derrick Henry's his main back. I obviously this year switched it up and I went the zero running back strategy. I really liked Amon Ra, Jamar, and Chris Olave this year. All three of them, which I'll get into more in depth after the running back conversation. And then I got blessed with James Cook and Rashad White. I after drafting them, I couldn't be happier with getting them and looking more into them. I've heard a lot about James Cook is now going to be the three down back. He's going to get more touches than Singletary ever had. And as we saw, James Cook was efficient with his touches last year. He just didn't get enough. He was top like 3 in efficiency last year for running backs. And they have a tough matchup this week. The Jets, I think, have a pretty good defense. So I'm not expecting a huge boom from James Cook, but I think as the year progresses, I am. And there's a good chance I'll be let down if I'm being honest, but I like him. So I'm going to let James cook. And then Rashad White, I also really like this year. He wasn't that efficient last year, but then again, he wasn't getting all the touches. Tom Brady, he wasn't Tom Brady's favorite target. Now they got Baker Mayfield coming in, and he, in the games he played, had the highest percentage of checkdowns. He loves the short game. He's not that good of a quarterback, so he's going to have to check down. He's also been told he's the three down back. Both of these running backs don't really have backups. So I see high upside here with both of these running backs. Obviously, a very low floor, chance of bust, chance of, ruining my team. But I took a gamble this year, and I hope it pays off. So I think this week with Joe Mixon and Derrick Henry, Max will take the points away in the running back position. So I think he's got me beat there. The quarterback, like we said, probably his edge, but it'll be close. So as of right now, I got Max winning. Thoughts on the running back?
Yeah, I also got Max winning just because the running backs are going to be a little bit too stingy, especially with Joe Mixon having to take a load with Joe Burrow's calf. So he's going to get his points, Mixon. Um, like I said, if Henry just absolutely, even with his floor, um, I would hope for the floor and the basement there, Max.
Oh, yeah.
For
Now, when I say I got Max winning, I mean I only got him winning in these comparisons so far. But once we get to the receivers, my overall odds might change. I don't know if you feel the same way, but now we get to the receivers, and I like my receivers covering those points that I lose in those other spots because I think Jamar will outscore Stephon, who's getting Sauce Gardner on him. Sauce Gardner's arguably the best corner in the NFL right now, and Stephon's going to have to go up against him. Jamar Chase will be playing Cleveland, which we said Joe Burrow might not have that good of a week, but Jamar Chase has a pretty low or a pretty high floor. He'll put up points. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to blow up this week. Both bad defenses, high-scoring game. The Lions love the pass. Amon's healthy. I think he's going to blow up and give me some points. Now, DK also will put up some points because he is playing arguably the worst defense in the NFL. So I think those two receivers won't be a crazy difference, but I do think I'll beat him there, make up some points, not the full amount of points that I've lost so far in the running back and quarterback category. But then when we get to the flex position, we got Ayuk versus Olave. Man, do I love Olave this year. He's got Derek Carr, who just slings the rock. throws it super far. And Olave was one of the best deep threats last year. Just didn't have the offense to get it done, and I think this offense is going to be a lot better. So that's where the flex position comes and helps me out a little bit more. And it puts us about, in my opinion, neck and neck right now. Um, Thoughts on the receivers and flex?
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit more edge towards your side. I love Chris Olave. I like Chase. I was going back from Chase and Eckler all over place. Um, but at the end of the day, I just think the running back position is just too big of
Too big.
amount that he's going to have. And then his wide receivers are kind of, how I want to say this, kind of complement where they're not going to be like outstanding, but they're going to be good enough after what numbers he's going to put up on the running back position to win in a very close matchup. Very close. I would say probably within 5 points. Um, Come down to Monday night or Sunday night, whenever your guys' deadline is, uh, kind of game.
Yeah. Then the last position that really matters besides kicker and defense is tight end. I've got TJ Hawkinson playing Tampa Bay, and then he's got Dallas Goedert playing New England. So I don't know. I think I'll go with the TJ Hawkinson side there, just because Belichick will. He's a great schemer. You know, I don't think that'll be a high scoring game. I don't think Goddard will be a high scoring tight end, and I don't think Hawkinson will necessarily be amazing, but he is going to be playing Tampa Bay, who's nothing special. He's going to get opportunities, he's going to get good looks. So I'll take the ceiling there with Hawkinson and hope for the best. Um, in the end of the day, the projections show 110.5 for me, and then 105.4 for Max. That's me minus 5.1 points at the end of the game. If I was a betting man, I probably would take Max's side of the plus 5.1. I do think it'll be really close, but being biased, hoping for the best, I do think I take this one.
Absolutely. And I don't disagree with your assessment here, okay? I think the tight end position could win you the game. Really could. Depending on how Jefferson's doing, depending on how Addison's doing with Kirk Cousins. Are they covering them? Okay. If they're
Mm-hmm.
letting eat, how much does Hawkinson have? That's the kind of thing I'm kind of looking at. And do they run the ball down their throat with uh, Madison?
Madison.
Madison. So there's different weapons there. Kurt is a better quarterback than what I thought he was, stat wise. I dogged Kirk Cousins big time, but Hodgson's a pretty good tight end from the second tight end U in Iowa. Okay. The first is that good old Golden Domer. But the second is
Who is hurt? Did you see that?
who's hurt.
Travis Kelsey,
Oh yeah, I saw Travis Kelsey hurt. I
which
was
we'll
gonna,
get into that.
we'll get into that, okay? Because it's kind of Aaron Rodgers Green Bay situation going on in Kansas City. Um, but we'll get into that. So who's the next game?
So next game we've got Walking Dead, which is you, Josh, and then he is playing Baskin Dobbins, Colin Froge. So running through your team real quick, we've got everybody knows it, Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, and then we've got Austin Eckler, RB1. Then we got Brian Robinson, not Bijan, Brian Robinson at RB2. And then receiver one, we've got Debo Samuel. Receiver two, we've got Amari Cooper at the flex position, who realistically is his receiver one, Garrett Wilson. And then the tight end spot, we've got Evan Ingram playing the command, and he's got the Commanders defense this year with Jason Myers from Seattle as his kicker. Who Colin Froge has is Geno Smith starting quarterback, Bijan Robinson, RB1, Miles Sanders at running back 2, CeeDee Lamb at receiver 1, T. Higgins at receiver 2, Mark Andrews at his tight end, J.K. Dobbins at flex. Then he's got the Eagles defense and Butker at kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Real quick, the line right now is 112.6 for Josh to win versus 112.5 for Colin to win. So we got a close one.
Yeah, this is kind of a rivalry here, okay? Every year we kind of look and see this is how the opening kind of always happens. Us neck and neck. Big old Josh usually comes out ahead though. Uh, but looking at his roster, okay, you want that running back, third running back position to be a flex. That's just how the game is. So to me, I'm 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 a big Calvin Froge, to be honest with you. If I'm being unpartial, which I'm gonna be unpartial here, uh, but Cooper, okay, we don't know what Sean Watson looks like. He's the legit number one in Cleveland. So he's either a boom or a bust at that wide receiver position. And Debo, we know what Debo can do, okay? So do the San Francisco run Debo a little bit more and try and get Brock Purdy kind of situated after that big time injury last year. We run him a little bit on jet streak, not expecting it when you have Christian McCaffrey in the background. We don't know. So that's kind of a those are two wild cards for Team Walking Dead. We know one that's not a walking card. Okay, we're literally looking at the next goat in Patrick Mahomes. Okay, Sky Moore could have one hell of a day with Travis Kelsey being hurt for that game. So against a not that great secondary in Detroit. Uh, I'm expecting probably 22 points from Mahomes. Nothing crazy coming out of the gate just because his main weapon is hurt. Um, but this might help the Kansas City Chiefs more than what people think throughout the year since he can kind of go and throw to multiple wide receivers. So as long as that offensive line holds up, he's a wizard back there. One of the reasons why I traded for him, okay, because I had Josh Allen, who's also really pretty damn good. Garrett Wilson could win me the week, though, on Monday night.
I agree. Yeah, for me, just looking at the matchup for its face value, I see I see both teams have a lot of unknowns, a lot of boomer busts for the start of the year. And I think some of these guys will turn out as, reliable players, but so far, just looking at it, I see a lot of boomer busts looking for Colin. We don't know if Bijan's going to be what everybody expects him to be. It's, likely, but then again, he is on Atlanta. That's not a good team yet, not that we know of. Miles Sanders, yes, he's the solo back there, it seems like. I mean, he's got Chuba Hubbard, but I don't know if he's going to do any good. CeeDee Lamb is, good receiver. I trust him. But T. Higgins, he's a receiver too. We don't know if he's going to give you 20 points or 3 points. Mark Andrews, same as last year. It wasn't anything crazy. So, but he's a really good tight end who arguably he's the second best tight end in the league. So a lot of boomer bust on Colin's side. Then looking at your team, I see kind of the same thing, but a lot more for sure players. Patrick Mahomes, for sure points. Austin Eckler, the best PPR running back of all time. It almost seems like just how many touchdowns and receptions he gets. Now we
He's
are in a half PPR league, but he's still going to get you the points. He's going to eat for you. He's going to get you those points. Garrett Wilson, I think he's for sure points. Some people will argue he's not there yet, but I think he is. But then you get to Debo and Amari. Brian Robinson will hurt you a little bit in comparison to his Miles Sanders, I think, in my opinion, just because Brian Robinson's got to compete with Antonio Gibson. But Debo and Amari, they're both great players. But to me, right now, they are boomer bust. So I think a lot of it's going to come down to who gets the lucky week. It's a pretty fair matchup, uh, but I'm going to lean towards you with the Patrick Mahomes and Austin Eckler duo there, and Garrett Wilson to help complement that. I think in the end, those three for sure point givers are going to be the thing to beat out Colin.
Absolutely. And a key thing to think about the defensive standpoint, I had the Dolphins with the Chargers, but I switched it with the Commanders and their third string quarterback over there in Cardinal land with no offensive line and possibly a healthy Chase Young. Um, that might be a sneaky little first round matchup with the defense there. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? And plus, with if Smith cooks, I cook because my kicker is Seattle. So if he gets about same points with Mahomes, I should be going the kick front. But if Mahomes have a bad week, I think I'm screwed this week.
Yep,
Big
I
so
agree. I agree with that. If Mahomes doesn't perform, you're screwed. But I would put money on the fact that Mahomes will perform. He's Patrick Mahomes, So I got I got you just out of the fact that you guys seem more for sure as of now. Um, Going to the next game, we've got Legion of Doom, Evan Satoski versus waiver wire winner Adam Teen. So starting with Teen's team, we've got Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, Nick Chubb at running back 1, ETN at running back 2, Devonta Smith, Keenan Allen, George Kittle at tight end, Jahmyr Gibbs at flex, 49ers defense, and Jake Moody, San Francisco kicker, versus Evan's team, which is Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Najee Harris at running back 1, Pacheco at running back 2, Tyreek Hill at receiver 1, Devontae Adams at receiver 2, Kyle Pitts at tight end, Ridley at flex, Saints defense, Jake Elliott, the Philadelphia kicker. Looking at the line, we've got Evan at 111.1 points versus Teen's 104.9 points. For me, looking at it straight up, I kind of agree with the predictions. I think Evan's honestly got one of the best, if not the best team in the league, in my opinion. He's got amazing receivers, good flex, amazing quarterback. Running backs are a little iffy, and I know he could argue mine are also a little bit iffy, but we've never seen my running backs have a full season getting the ball. We've seen Najee Harris and Pacheco, and I don't know. I think their ceiling's been proven. So I don't know, but you got Teen on the other hand, Nick Chubb, also an amazing running back, like we talked about with Eckler. He's going to give you those points. I know you had him last year, and he worked out great for you, winning the regular season. Teen did just trade away Saquon for ETN and Keenan Allen. I'm not sure I like the trade so much, and he gave up Higbee too. Not that that was a whole lot, but giving up Saquon there for those two seems like a lot because Saquon is due for a great year. Pairing Nick Chubb up with Saquon would have been quite deadly, but hey, it's too late now. The trade's over. But what do you think about this matchup?
so looking at his initial draft, those first two picks for Adam Team, outstanding.
They sure
Chubb
were.
and Saquon right back, and then I get the move. Stupid on Teen's part, but I get the move. You want to bank with Jacksonville since they're on the come up. I get that. Okay, with Lawrence and ETM, a little Clemson Tigers. But you see how Clemson is without a generational quarterback, okay? So I don't know about that. And I think that's why Teen loses in the first week. If he has Saquon and he has Chubb, I think both of them go off. But here's the kicker. Okay. The two running backs you would have had aren't going to have as good as week as this running back you kind of was like, it's kind of his ceiling. I think Pacheco has one hell of a week this week. Being the number one in Kansas City, Kelsey hurt, probably out for the game um, on Thursday with that groin, probably
The
out
only
for
Yeah, makes sense. The only reason I've always worried about the KC running backs is they just never use them like you would want to use Nick Chubb or Saquon Barkley or Austin Eckler. And now, Edwards-Helaire seems to be back. He was playing in preseason, and not that he's their number one guy, but you got him, you got McKinnon, and all taken away from Pacheco. I think he's a great running back. I don't know if he's the best fantasy option. He'll have his weeks like you predict this week he'll go off. He has his weeks where he will go off, but then the next week it'll be Hilaire that goes off or McKinnon that has 30 points.
right.
So I think that backfield's a hit or miss, and I don't like to depend on that. I like those three down backs that will give you those guaranteed points if they're good enough. Good thing for Teen in this matchup is Calvin Ridley, Evans flex. If Calvin Ridley's going off, Trevor Lawrence is going off. So that'll help balance things out for Teen in the fact that Calvin Ridley can't rack up points, but Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and Hurts, I think, will be enough to give Evan the edge over Teen this week.
Absolutely. But touchdown wide receiver is still six. Unless Lawrence has a rushing touchdown, it actually hurts the team that he has Ridley because a 60-yard bomb with a TD with Ridley,
That's
not
true.
not great for Adam. But I'm gonna give Evan just a little bit because I think Pachenko gets really off. And I think he goes for 25 plus this week.
Next, we've got running back preschool, which is Austin Howell versus Hanging with Hernandez, which is Trey. Austin's team, we've got Josh Allen at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey at RB1, Alexander Madison at running back 2, which hopefully later in the year for him will be Jonathan Taylor. Receiver 1, we've got Mike Evans. Receiver 2, we've got DJ Moore. Tight end, we got Darren Waller. Flex is Kenneth Walker. He's playing the Ravens defense with Justin Tucker, the Ravens kicker. Trey's starting Justin Herbert. And then he's got Ramondre Stevenson at running back 1, Aaron Jones at running back 2, Cooper Kupp at receiver 1, which might be switched depending on his status coming week 1. I haven't looked or heard any updates. Maybe you would know. And then he's got A.J. Brown at receiver 2, Pat Fryermuth at tight end, Breece Hall at flex, playing the Jets defense, and Young Ho Koo, Atlanta's kicker. The initial match line is Austin to have 112.1 points versus Trey to have 97.7. So they're kind of predicting a 15-point win for Austin here, which is usually big in fantasy terms because usually it's a lot closer than that. And I'm agreeing with it. Even though Austin got screwed with Jonathan Taylor, he still got a great team. And before Jonathan Taylor didn't sign, it looked like he had one of the best teams. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor hurts him now, giving up Patrick Mahomes and Garrett Wilson for that. But I still like his team. His receivers, they're reliable. They're nothing crazy, but they are reliable. DJ Moore's an elite receiver who will give him points, but he does got Justin Fields throwing to him. Mike Evans has had all these 1,000-yard seasons, so he's proven he's reliable, but he's getting older, and he does have Baker Mayfield throwing to him. I like Alexander Madison. He's a three-down back. That team doesn't seem to run the ball a crazy amount, but he seems to catch the ball too, so I like him getting some points. Obviously, McCaffrey's a stud, but he is playing Pittsburgh. And I think that's a sneaky defense with T.J. Watt being healthy. I think McCaffrey might be not a bust, but kind of a letdown this week. But I think the other guys on his team will make up for it. I think Darren Waller's a great pick by him. I think he's going to have a good year if he can stay healthy. Kenneth Walker's a boomer bust for me. I don't really know what that backfield's going to look like. So then going to Trey's team, for me, Herbert, he should have a good week. I think he'll have a bounce back year after his down year last year in fantasy. Playing Miami, I think he'll put up some points. Ramondre Stevenson kind of got screwed with Zeke signing there. There's some touchdowns to be taken away from there, but I still think he's a great receiving back, and he's going to get most of the touches. So I'm not too worried about his fantasy points going down. Besides, maybe 5 to 8 touchdowns on the season and some rushing yards. Aaron Jones, I think it's a great pick. I had him last year. I hated the AJ Dillon factor, who got to play, but I think Aaron Jones is going to get more touches this year. It seems like Jordan Love likes to throw to him, so I like that. As we just talked about, Cooper Kupp, it's dangerous this year. I don't know if he's going to stay healthy. Don't even know if he's going to play week 1. He's just re-injured that, and we'll see about that. AJ Brown, great pickup. He should put up a lot of points. I like Pat Fryermuth, but they do have a rookie tight end coming in that could take some fantasy points. And then last one for me is Brees Hall. I don't know. It's a high-powered offense with a lot of mouths to feed. So overall, those comparisons, I got Austin winning this.
Yeah, I got Austin winning this by a while. Trey had an amazing year last year, and I think he's gonna have an amazing year again this year because this guy knows how to tinker. He knows how to kind of do his thing on the waiver wire. But I think he should switch the running backs from New York, and here's why: because they're going to ease Brees Hall along with Dalvin Cook being there for the first couple, 3 or 4 games. You drafted Cook too. Uh, I think you let Dalvin cook in this one because I think he's going to go off. Um, so I would
Another,
switch, and if you switch running backs, then the game's even closer than what people think and experts. But
yeah, another option he's got is David Montgomery on the bench, projected for 11 versus Brees' 6. So that's 5 points there. And David Montgomery, he's the power back for Detroit, who's playing KC. I could see a lot of upside there for this week. So if he switches that around, I think it might close the gap a little bit. But I agree, I do not like Brees Hall this week. I think he's too much of an if in the start of the season. But overall, I got Austin winning this.
I do too. I think Josh Allen wins it on Monday night for him. I think they're close enough, and I think if Allen balls out like he should, which the Jets have a pretty good secondary, so I would say Allen probably gets about 20 to 25 points on Monday night and wins them the first game.
Going on to the last matchup of the week. In my opinion, it's the most anticipated matchup. Really am excited to see this. These guys were talking about it at the draft and have been talking about it since. But we've got running back University, Owen, versus the Pollard Express, which is Adam Neiman. Owen's starting lineup looks like Russell Wilson, which is a big if for me, and he might change that to another quarterback. Um, Josh Jacobs at running back 1, Saquon Barkley at running back 2. Wide receiver 1 is Justin Jefferson. Uh, Wide receiver 2 is DeAndre Hopkins. He's rocking Tyler Higbee at tight end, James Conner at flex, Vikings defense, and Graham Gano, the Giants kicker. Adams rolling out with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Tony Pollard at running back 1, Cam Akers running back 2, Jalen Waddle receiver 1, Christian Watson receiver 2, Travis Kelce at tight end, Jamal Williams at flex, Cowboys defense, and Evan McPherson, Cincinnati kicker. So for me, and then projections are 117.4 for Adam to win versus Owens 111.4. For me, when you look at this and you start off at Owens' team, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, that's deadly. That is a strong 3 right there. It almost reminds me of my team from last year. Just, amazing players. But then you look at Russell Wilson. Then you look at Tyler Higbee, James Conner, DeAndre Hopkins. Those guys are all, potential to put up very little points. Obviously, there's potential for all of them to put up good points, but there's downfall and there's upside to his team. And I think in the end, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, they're gonna give him the majority of the points here, and I think they're gonna give him the edge on Adam, mainly also because Travis Kelce might not be playing this week, and that seems to be a huge factor for Adam's team. Lamar Jackson, I think, is a great pick by Adam. He's going to have a great season if he stays healthy and going to put up a lot of points. Pollard, he's he's a underdog for getting running back one of the year. Like I could see it happening with how well he did last year, and now he's going to be getting all the touches. And then, like I said, Travis Kelce's not even close to the other tight ends. I'm not a huge fan of some of the other guys on Adams' team. Jalen Waddle, he's an amazing receiver. I think he might even finish top 10 last year. But I've always liked the receiver ones. I don't like the receiver twos on the team. So, you show me Jalen Waddle, I say, well, they have Tyreek Hill. You show me T. Higgins, I say, well, they have Jamar Chase. So I've always been wanting to find the guys that are, the receiver ones or the main receiver on a team. So Jalen Waddle scares me. Jamal Williams is a great start this week with Alvin Kamara out, who is on Owen's bench for when he comes back. And Cam Akers could put up some points, but I think we've seen his ceiling already, and I don't know if he'll reach that end of the year Cam Akers from last year.
Yeah, give me. We talk about how this game's going to be close and this and that. Give me the third ATM Bro and Owen Satoski by a long margin. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh, I think Russell Wilson comes back to earth a little bit here. Hackett, reading all what went on last year, it was basically Tom Brady's last year in New England kind of situation. So to have Sean Payton there, a great head coach, uh, and Russell Wilson's game is a lot like Drew Brees's, to be honest with you, when he's good. And yeah, add that running factor that Brees never had. Um, they're a lot different quarterbacks, but at the same time, they're pretty similar. I think Russell will eat a little bit in certain games, and this week is a certain game. So I think we look at Russell as where you drafted him as a weakness. But I think you stay with him this week. But the big three, okay, if Jacobs gets a decent offensive line, if Jimmy G cooks like he did in San Francisco and stays healthy, the only thing bad about Las Vegas, you don't really have any deep threats on the wide receiver position. You could stack the box against Jacobs. But
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams. My bad. I said a boo boo. I said a boo boo, man. But Devontae Adams. I'm correct. Okay. One of the best wide receivers of all time. But is Jimmy G going to be able to throw to him? Because Jimmy
That's
G,
there. I agree with that. Yeah,
he's a game manager. So he's still going to stack the boxes. Okay. Because he's not, yeah, Jimmy G is not even a Tannehill in that situation. The arm. We don't know if he's stay healthy. But that's the question marks that we kind of go through. Um, let's see here. Now, Jeff- Jefferson. Your brother really didn't like drafting him. I don't know why. Okay. Um,
you were probably hoping he fell to you.
I was, but I've been offered Eckler for him, but I kind of like Eckler. But he's gonna get probably 25. He's gonna eat like he does almost every Sunday. I just think the points that he's going to get from his flex, from his two running back position, and his top two wide receivers is just going to be too much. And then you sprinkle in probably 18, 19 for Muscle Wilson. It's just going to be too much. Lamar's going to have a great day. He's going to make it competitive for Adam. Tony Pollard. I can see why you're hyped on him, but he's no Zeke Elliott in his prime. Okay. That offensive line's getting old. I see maybe 15 to 20 points from Tony Pollard. Okay. And Kelsey thing hurts bad. Okay. Because he probably ain't playing on Thursday night because they said determined. You don't want to hear determined. I don't want to hear determined. I want Kelsey the ball because it's my Holmes. But that's the thing. Um, but I'm gonna go big O, probably by at least about 10, 15 point difference.
Yeah, I could see it, especially with the Travis Kelsey injury. I think this will be the biggest difference in win margin for the week, and Adam might not like to hear that, but I think I'm going to take this one. Feel very confident going into week 2, and I think he's going to have a good season, but I don't know. We'll see how it pans out, but those are my week 1 predictions.
And those are mine. And we're usually pretty money, okay? Because we don't even need a time machine because our picks are pretty money. Yeah. That's another ATM Bros. That's going to